that. Chris, what are no-code platforms, no-code solutions, and I guess what are they doing, and how is it different from just regular, having a programmer or software developer?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is that with no-code solutions, like the name implies, you're not writing any code. And the reason that's possible is because the different software providers out there that offer no-code solutions have already built little widgets or codelets that you can string together to build your solutions. When I talk to a lot of people and try to, especially when they're starting off with the no-code stuff, I like to use the metaphor of Legos, right? When you're a kid and you're building Legos, you don't have to worry about how the blocks are built. You could have a little 4-block or 8-block or whatever they are. You don't care. You just put them together and you build your creation. Well, no-code solutions are a lot like that. You got a big bucket of Legos and you can build anything you want and you can build it quickly. You can also tear it apart quickly and rebuild, which kind of leads into the rapid prototyping and some of those pieces.
Okay, so going, I guess a little step deeper. Why would a company want to implement this? I guess what efficiencies or return on investment do they have?
Sure. I think the biggest piece is that, a lot of the folks that we work with are roadblocked or bottlenecked by their IT organizations. And with no code platforms, a lot of them being workflow based or rules engine based, the people that understand those processes and rules are actually in the operation, right? They're on the business side. And by introducing a low code or no code platform, what you're actually able to do is empower those users to maintain and update those solutions as the business changes. So, in terms of return on investment, a lot of the projects we do where we're writing the code, they're often several months long. And the business changes over those months, right? The business rules change, there's new compliance, there's new regulations, maybe there's a new strategy, they've hired a new COO and they want to go this other path. Well, all the coding that's been done over the last 3 or 6 months is probably moot because the rules have changed, the game has changed. And so the return on investment is the ability to, get a solution stood up to where it's delivered to the organization or the operation, and empower them to maintain and stitch those business rules together.
Okay, so I understand it since I'm less technical. So it kind of not fully eliminates, but you don't need to have a full development team, bunch of programmers. It's someone that probably needs to understand the business, but also understand technology and maybe how programming works, but they don't need to be a developer. Is that kind of?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the misinterpretations when you hear no code is, okay, I don't need a development team. And I don't know that that's completely accurate. A lot of the platforms that we work with and the tools we use, the designers are really easy to learn and understand. And if you've got a BA type person, sure, they could go in and stitch some flows or business rules together. But the gap that we find there in some of the customers that we worked with who use no-code solutions, who have just taken that approach, the holes in their solutions are because they don't fundamentally understand what's going on behind the scenes. They don't have a great understanding of maybe object-oriented programming, or maybe how the database is tied together, or how they're going to persist data from one flow to another. So often what we find is that the most successful people at implementing a no-code solution will have somebody who can design the solution, who has a software background, understands how to stitch these pieces together, and then builds them in the no-code solution in a way that is maintainable and extensible by the operation. So at the point it's delivered, maybe the rules have changed. You don't want to tie up your dev team or your IT team with stitching business rules together and putting band-aids in your code At that point, you want to say, hey, no, business user, go update this rule or go update this flow. And at that point, the end user, a business analyst, someone on the ops side, I think we've been using the term technologist, right? Kind of a hybrid of a developer and a BA. At that point, that person can take the solution and modify it and let it change and evolve with the business. But you still got to have that team up front who can, really appreciate, the saying, the whole forest from the one tree in front of them. That's the big difference.